All right, perfect. So good morning, team. Thank you for coming on board. We'll be covering today, next 10 days, closing out the month, 3x3,000. And it's something I was talking to Tanya earlier today, who really just gives me a great, a great individual to kind of bounce things back and forth with. In regards to information and things to talk about. And she said something that I think was so important. The way she started, 3x3 is not a lot, man. We have such a thought in our mind when we in this business that doing 3x3,000 personally is a lot of work. It really isn't, not even close. And I do want to start with something. I picked up a book this year, this couple of last weeks that was referred by or recommended by Mr. Bill Whittle. It's called Your Best Year Ever. Really good book. Just a lot of talk about belief, possibility, and things of that nature. He talks about 5 steps, things you need to do to have a great year, the best year you ever had. And there is a little part I want to kind of just start this with because I think it's just appropriate. And he says, the author is the author is Michael Hyatt, Hyatt. And he says, there is an old saying, history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. That's especially true when you're thinking of our personal histories. Why? The circumstances of our lives change week by week, year by year, but we still us. And our habits of thinking tend to produce consistent results no matter what's going on in our work, our relationships, or the world around us. I'll say that one more time. Our habits of thinking tend to produce consistent results. The only caveat that is what has been your consistent result? They didn't say good results. They just said consistent results. If our habits of thinking are beneficial, we tend to experience positive results, such as happiness, personal satisfaction, even material success. If our habits of thinking are counterproductive, however, we often experience the opposite: unhappiness, dissatisfaction, and the nagging feeling that the deck is somehow stacked against us. The good news is that you can change the rhyme scheme. Even if your habits of thinking are already serving you well, you can experience transformative personal improvement in all areas of your life by upgrading your beliefs. When we focus on belief improvement, often circumstances follow suit. So I wanted to start with that because as I go through today, over the next 45 minutes to an hour or so, I want you to be thinking about that. 3x3 over the next 10 days, everybody here can do. Forget if you're already at 10x10 or you're at 0, excuse me, or you're at 0x0. That doesn't matter. You can change that over the next 10 days. All right, so let me pull it up. And again, I thank you guys for those videos who I see, faces I see. I always love, the opportunity to get to see you guys and how you respond and how you view things. I think for us as presenters, it's what we have left in regards to feeling a physical environment. So I do appreciate you guys who are on, whose faces I can see. So let's get going. I know I'm running a little bit behind now. So let's first start with the frame of mind. How should you be thinking? What should be your thought process? Number one, get over yourself. No more self-pity. I love working with my boys, right? They're competitors, man. My oldest and middle, my 2 middle sons. I have 4 children. My oldest is a girl, she's 15, and my boys are 12, 9, and 2 years old. So the 12 and the 9-year-old are constantly competing on everything, literally everything. They compete, and they love doing what we call, what I like to do with them, which is a skeleton, which just means they go one-on-one against each other in football, right? I'm the quarterback, and one receives, the other one defends, and vice versa. And every single time they're fighting. They're trying to beat out each other, and they both make great catches. They both make mistakes. And yesterday, my son, Marcus, dropped a few balls, right? Dropped the first one, started crying, and was upset. And he looked at his hands. Why can't you catch the ball? Like, is the hand's fault that he's not catching, right? Or his brother made a good move and he couldn't stop him. Or he was a little quicker or faster, just made the right choice. And maybe his technique was off. And crying and whining. And I said to him, why are you wasting energy with the crying and whining? Why don't you go back and think about what you did wrong and fix it? You can get up in the morning at 7 and work out to get better, right? The point being, stop feeling pity. Nobody cares. You're here now. You're on a training. You have the ability to change it right now. Why bother whining and complaining about it? What are we going to do from here over the next 10 days? It's actually not that hard to get your 3x3, right? First, you got to play with a sense of urgency, right? The next 10 days, guys, and in the beginning of every month, there's always that natural, you set your goals, you're ready for the month to start, but we tend to kind of have a little bit of that slow process, that slow development, whereby, we take a little bit to get going. That can be the case right now. You have to get moving and get moving now. You have to make a decision, about to burn your ships, right? There's an old story in the war, I think, with Napoleon, and he brought his army to an island to take over the people who inhabited it, and he looked at his men. Once they hit the beach, he looked at his men and told them to turn back around and shoot the ships down, blow their own ships up. And then he looked at his men back and he said, the only way we're getting off this island is by taking over, beating this team, taking over and using their ships to go back home. That's the kind of mentality you have to have over the next 10 days. There's a no holds barred attitude. There's, I'm going to make it happen regardless. You have to have a fourth quarter mentality. And very few people were better than Mr. Kobe Bryant, the late great Kobe Bryant. He had the Mamba mentality. There was a great a YouTube video, 3-minute video with him and Iman Shumpert, who played with the Knicks at the time when he came in. And Iman was, brand new, young. He's really known as a good defender in the league. And he had a game against Kobe Bryant, and he remembers in the first 3 quarters, he made blocked a few shots, made a few dunks, made a few, was doing really well. And in his mind, he was, man, I can't wait to talk to my boys, man. I beat, Kobe Bryant. I stole from him, whatever. By the 4th quarter start, he looked at Iman and said, now the game begins. And Iman Shumpert, as he's telling the story, he said, what are you talking about, man? And he goes, he turned on into a completely different person. He goes, you were regular all game, and he went out and killed him and beat the Knicks in the 4th quarter. Right? There's another gentleman, another story with Kobe Bryant, and he said, T-Mac, who really was his contemporary, great player, Hall of Famer, and they always went at each other. There was a game that they had against each other while T-Mac was with Orlando, and he had already scored like 30 points by that point at that time. And he was taking a jump shot right before the end of the 3rd quarter. And he looked at one of his teammates and said to him this, the difference between T-Mac and me? He is done by the 4th quarter. I'm just getting warmed up. It's time to get going, guys. We have 10 days left. Here's what I urge you to do. Do not over-exaggerate yesterday. What you have accomplished so far, good or bad. It's yesterday. There's nothing, that's it, it's over. There's no going back to it. There's no whining about it. There's no reason to even get excited about it anymore. It's gone. That's the past. Right? Don't overestimate tomorrow. Don't think you have 10 days. You have today. You have today. You got to be focused today. You prepare for the next 10 days today. Don't wait until 5 days from now. Right? Tomorrow is not, he's not promised. What are you going to do today? We have the blitz after this. Make sure your schedule, normally 3 to 5 appointments, double it this week. Double it this week. And I'm going to talk to you at the end of some things you can do. Right? What type of player do you want to be? Right? That's something you have to be constantly thinking about. You know, what type of player do you want your teammates? Do you want on your team? What kind of people do you want to attract? You know, I was listening to Jen and Lee in one of their month-end talks, and they stated this, you know, you have to become what you want. You cannot expect certain things or level of play from your teammates if you're not willing to put in the same kind of effort and the same kind of sacrifices, right? Become results focused. I've learned, man, the best way to lead and inspire others is by you going out and getting results. And then you can ask that of someone else. And in most cases, you wouldn't even have to ask. Ms. V, you don't have to ask. They just what? They see you leading them. They see what you're doing. You know, I'm so proud of Mr. and Mrs. Elliott. Last night, they wrote their first sales on their own. I didn't even know about it. I looked on the my life manager, my daily blast, and there's a $1,300 annual premium on the daily blast. I had nothing to do with it. You know how great that is, man? It's awesome, right? They're becoming results focused. You know, Art Williams, the founder of our company, said, all you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. Now, I put that on here because I've been listening to a lot of Art Williams. He has like a new channel, YouTube channel, and he puts, you know, just how he built the organization. And look, nobody has done it like him, man. The A.L. Williams way was absolutely ridiculous. Think about this, Rob. He founded a company in 1977. He sold it to Citigroup by 1989. In that time frame, he recruited over 250,000 people. Think about that. 250,000 people that he built, him and his team. And he's famous for saying, all you can do is all you can do. And all you can do is enough. Now, what is the operative word here? This is the part that's important that he discussed. Are you doing all you can do? Don't trick yourself into thinking you're doing all you can do. You're not. Most of us are not. Not even close. You know, there's an old saying. We judge ourselves, Richard, based on our intention, but we judge others based on their action. Are you doing all you can do to move your business forward? Are you making enough calls? Are you talking to your teammates enough? Are you on the phone? Are you following up with everybody? Tanya said to me, my wife, don't be afraid to be pushy either. The next 10 days, don't be afraid to push the envelope. You have to understand the game you're playing. It's critical. Guys, we save people, right? You just heard that story, that great story with Dee, you know, in Virginia, right? Forget the $11,000. That's awesome. And that's absolutely ridiculous. Think about the impact she made for that family if she was not there. Even if they probably had a policy with someone else. You think it would have been $700,000? Nope. Because $700,000 in most cases where people purchase cash value policies is way too expensive. Think about the impact that friendship she developed, that client she created, the impact she had for that family for the rest of her life. My mom, one of my mom's good friends, in early March, her husband passed away. He was in his 60s. For 7 years. 7 years he fought cancer. And in a week and a half, COVID took him. And he made great money. You know, he was making 150, 200,000 a year, worked in the city. The last few years, because of the cancer, it was tough for them financially. He had to take a lot of money from his 401k, that kind of stuff. The point is that the wife was a lady, a great lady, just a great, there's just some people that are just good people. Like Mrs. Elliott is one of those, right? And this lady is that. And my mom asked me to go sit down with her and help her financially speaking, because she has no clue. He handled everything, all the finances in the house. She never did any of it. She used to work cleaning houses. She didn't have to work as much. Over the last few years, she worked a little bit here and there just to bring money to the home. And anyway, I sat down with her, and as my wife and I started going over her information or her paperwork, she had a will and testament in place, which is good, where she can stay with the house, but the house is $3,000 a month in mortgage, And anyway, we were able to kind of start the process of getting everything together. Now it's still in process, and we showed her. We started going over with her what he had, which is a pension, which she now takes over. And that pension, we just found out, including the Social Security, will bring to the home about $5,000-$6,000 a month, right? Which really put her at ease. And then we showed her a piece of paper that was his 401k. And he has over $850,000 in his 401k. When we showed her that number, guys, I swear to you, I've been doing this a long time. I've sat down with a lot of families. I have never seen somebody cry like that, with a sigh of relief that came over her. And then, she kind of, almost in a very embarrassed way, went into the kitchen and just cried to herself. My wife and I looking at each other. My wife is crying now too. And we're looking at each other like, we don't know what to do. And she comes back a few minutes later and she says, I'm so sorry. I didn't, and we're like, no, it's okay. My wife gave her a hug. And then she said something. She goes, he promised me he was going to take care of me no matter what happened. And he completed his promise. Now, I'm over here and I'm terrified because she has this money. She has a pension. And I just want to make sure that what we do with the money she has and how we invest it and how we prepare her for the next 30, 40 years of her life is the right way. Guys, don't ever, and then, she now calls us for everything regarding money, everything. Returning the car to DMV, getting a voluntary repo because he was paying $1,300 for his car a month. That's what he was paying a month for his car and all this stuff. And now we have created a situation where, she just trusts us with everything. Guys, make no mistake about what you do here. Don't forget that. Don't apologize for it. Don't be afraid to push. People are struggling, man. People need us. We are the light at the end of the tunnel. You hear it in the presentation, right? The institutions like the banks, the insurance companies, we know that, the life insurance companies specifically, and the investment companies, they're not helping middle-class America the way we do. Make no mistake about it. Don't be afraid to put people on edge the right way. So know and understand what you're fighting for. and what you do, right? And then why should you go out and hit your 3x3 in the next 10 days? Look, you're here first and foremost to make money. Do you guys know why you're here to make money? You know why you need to make money? Anybody can answer that. Jump in if you want. Why do you need to make money?
To support my family and reach my goals.
That's it. First and foremost, because you need to take care. You need to buy into you. That's the reason you need to make money here. The best retention tool for yourself and anybody on your team is making money. That's the reason you need to make money. That's the reason you need to go out and do your 3x3 over the next 10 days, minimum. First and foremost, because you need to take care of your family. Right? And Bruce Clark always talks about making $50,000 in the base shop. And we have studs on our team that are examples of that. Josh and Shondell and Jen Lee. Jen Lee's going to hit 100 grand in the base shop before she goes RVP. I mean, that's a pro. When you go out and you write business and you talk to people, that's the reason. Right? You got to qualify at your level, right? This is something you got to take it personally. Right? Be a district leader, and you have to know what those numbers are. 3 by 2,500, 5 by 5,000, 7 by 7,500, 10 by 10 plus, 15 by 15. 3 by 3,000 is qualifying at district leader and below. You can do that in the next 10 days. You're playing for your personal goals, man. You know why it's important to start hitting your goals, guys? You need to believe in you, right? I think it creates a belief in you. "10 days, 3 by 3. Team goals, right? You're always part of a team. It's bigger than just you. Right? And one day, Shaq and Samir told me this a long time ago. One day, you're going to run a team. What do you want them to do for you? But first, you got to do it for them. I was part of Samir and Shaq's team for a long time, and I was the kind of player at that point that they can depend on. They understood if we needed to hit 1,000 in premium, 3,000 in premium, 5,000, whatever it was, they can call and tell me, listen, we need to hit this. We need you to get that. Are you dependable? Can your teammates depend on you to do those things? Right? Hey, Marco Island, man, I've never been there. I can't wait to go. In August, we won the last trip they had in Florida for Orlando, Florida. We have never taken our kids, Richard, to Orlando, Florida. I can't wait to take them for the first time in August. Hopefully, COVID and all these things allow us to, right? But I can't wait to see their faces, enjoying their time as a family together in Orlando, all expenses paid, rides all the time, right? You don't have to wait online. You can take the same ride over and over. I got to make sure I lose about 15 to 20 pounds because all I want to do is stuff myself with the funnel cake. I love me some funnel cake. Right? Now we got Marco Island. Guys, you might have been to a lot of these trips, and that's cool, and that's awesome. Ain't nothing like a Primerica trip, though, man. It's nothing like winning a Primerica trip. Right? When you go out and you spend money on going on a trip, it's awesome, and you kind of usually keep to yourself. You might make a friend here and there, but a Primerica trip is not about the actual destination as much as it is by the people you're surrounded by. And the example after example after example of winners and positive people. That's the difference. That's something else you're playing for. Go out and get it, right? Now, here's the things you need to do. Let's get to the nitty-gritty, right? I think first, it starts with a list, right? I talk to my team about this all the time. How many people do you have on your list? And I challenged them on Wednesday on the training. Put a list together of 10 people, hot market, right? Today, after this training, we're going to make calls. They have to have a list of minimum of 10 to call. I don't care who it is. Maybe it's people you've spoken to before.